Good morning. I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft. Hurricane Ian slams into Cuba and it is going to race to the north. Notice how it's moving at 12 miles per hour. This is with the latest 4 a.m. advisory. It is going to move rapidly, and once it moves into the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico, it is then expected to intensify to a Category 4. Now, water temperatures, sea surface temperatures all around Cuba and into Florida, well warm enough to support that development. And that's why there's hurricane warnings already in effect for Tampa all around Cuba, and that extends even into South Florida with tropical storm warnings. Water temperatures in the upper 80s, almost nearing 90 degrees. So notice by Tampa how temperatures are the exact same as near Cuba. Not a lot of wind shear when you're dealing with Tampa and areas south of and South Florida. If Hurricane Ian would have stayed to the north a little bit longer towards the Panhandle, notice how water temperatures, they drop by just a couple degrees. Now, as far as the wave heights, some have been recorded, I think, up to about 25, 27 feet around Cuba. Incredible wave heights there around Cuba. Now, this is the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. Remember those water temperatures I was just showing you? So really warm all around Cuba, South Florida, right through Tampa. And that's why we're not expecting much change as far as the intensity goes with Hurricane Ian anymore. The latest track from the National Hurricane Center has this almost barreling straight towards Tampa, making landfall as a major hurricane. That is different from what we were expecting yesterday. We were expecting it to weaken just a little bit and hang maybe just to the north of Tampa. So this may pan out to actually be the worst case scenario for Tampa, as they're now expecting almost a direct impact from Hurricane Ian as a major hurricane. So Category 3 or higher, potentially by Thursday, late Wednesday into Thursday. That's our timeline that we're looking for as far as landfall goes. So at this point, Hurricane Ian is a Category 3, maximum sustained winds at 125 miles per hour, moving north at 12 miles per hour, expected to intensify to a Category 4 by early this afternoon, potentially even late this morning. So again, we're going to be looking for those intermediate advisories to see if they do see any strengthening that could happen once it moves back into the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to have that really warm water to help it intensify, and low wind shear. There's not really anything holding it back once it leaves Cuba. And now again, that direct path headed towards Tampa as a major hurricane. They are already under hurricane warnings. So zooming in a little bit more, if you're familiar with Florida, notice this is just north of Fort Myers, now expecting this to stay just south of the Panhandle area, south of Cedar Key. Once this makes landfall in Tampa, then it is going to weaken, but even inland, they're going to have to worry about tornadoes, the storm surge that's expected with this. So again, major hurricane now expected to head towards Tampa by late Wednesday into Thursday morning. You can see the timeline. Each one of the bars are indicating a timestamp there. I'll broaden the scope. So it's a Category 3 now. As it moves in a northerly direction, it's almost going to take a direct aim and strengthen once it's back in the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. As far as how much rainfall, any reports are up to a foot, maybe higher as the amount of rain that we have seen in Cuba. And that is going to be the case, even extending this into South Florida and Central Florida as well. Notice looking at the potential of rainfall here, 7+ inches. So potentially even some reports could have this up to about a foot of rain associated, and the wind. So life-threatening storm surge will be associated with Hurricane Ian as it continues to move directly into Florida as it exits Cuba. Slammed just a little bit ago into Cuba, made landfall, and now it's going to race back to the Gulf of Mexico, and we are expecting strengthening out of this. As far as what is really steering this in the upper levels of the atmosphere, a couple things working. Big area of high pressure in the open Atlantic. Around high pressure, you get clockwise flow, and so that's helping to tug this a little closer to Florida. We're also tracking a front that moved through yesterday, and that front is going to help steer and deflect Ian to the east as well. And that was the timeline as far as landfall goes, how much interaction the front would play with Ian. And really, it just it's coming together where it's looking more like a central Florida landfall on the west coast, potentially as a major hurricane in Tampa. The last time that Tampa saw a major hurricane make landfall was in 1921. So they are now expecting to see that. You can even see the amount of moisture associated with Ian. It's a completely split difference. We have cool, dry air across portions of southeast Texas. Once it moves into Florida, notice how all that energy is tugged with it, and then it's going to again race to the north. So much of the eastern seaboard will be watching for some of those thunderstorms behind it as well. We are going to keep you updated right here. You can always go to KHOU.com for the latest on Hurricane Ian. I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft.